तो हम लोग लास्ट यहाँ पर आए थे। There is a difference in the way Jeevan understands Jeevan and the way Jeevan understands existence. As far as material things are concerned, we recognize them upon experimentation based on their usefulness. We recognize usefulness in the form of common and special aspirations. The common aspirations are food, shelter, and clothing. The special aspirations are telecommunication and transportation. तो हम लोगों ने लास्ट यहाँ पर वो किया था, और भी थोड़ा सा रिवाइज करना और रिमेम्बर करना, क्योंकि वीकेंड बीच में गया तो हम लोग को ग्रिप लेनी हो तो हम उससे पहले भी पढ़ सकते हैं, बट फिलहाल
नहीं
हम।
ठीक है भैया, यहीं से कंटिन्यू कर लेते हैं।
हाँ, बढ़िया। ओके, तो यहाँ पर से इसमें से ये समझ में आ रहा है कि वी रिकॉग्नाइज यूजफुलनेस इन द फॉर्म ऑफ कॉमन एंड स्पेशल एस्पिरेशंस। द कॉमन एस्पिरेशंस आर फूड शेल्टर एंड क्लोथिंग, मतलब हर एक मानव को फूड शेल्टर एंड क्लोथिंग का रिक्वायरमेंट होता ही है, और ये शरीर के साथ जुड़ा हुआ है। द स्पेशल एस्पिरेशंस आर टेलीकम्युनिकेशंस एंड ट्रांसपोर्टेशन, ये भी सबके साथ ही जुड़ा है वैसे तो। मोस्ट ऑफ दीज हैव बीन डिस्कवर्ड एंड आर बीइंग प्रोड्यूस्ड। There have been efforts to make these commonly accessible commercially. Commercially methods, however, are always with anticipation of profit.
तो व्हाट हियर इट हैज बीन सेड दैट जीवन जीवन को समझने वाला और जीवन अस्तित्व को समझने वाला तरीका भिन्न है। द अंडरस्टैंडिंग ऑफ जीवन and that of the understanding of existence, they are two different aspects. As far as understanding of the existence is concerned, it is based on physico-chemical reactions. Like what we can do is that on the basis of our requirement, that is some basic requirement and some special requirements, you can say we need roti, kapda और मकान, है ना? That is ahar, avas, alankar, or what it has been said that food, shelter, and clothing.
Right.
And the greater needs are telecommunication and transportation. Durbash, Durgaman, Doordarshan.
Right.
Most of these have been discovered and are being produced. इनमें से ज्यादातर डिस्कवरी हो चुकी है.
हाँ हाँ
Have been efforts in to make these commonly accessible through commercial means. Commercial methods, however, are always with anticipation of profit. The only drawback is that in commercial method, we always think about the profit.
Right.
है ना? Which is deliberation, half the deliberation on the basis of profit, health, and pleasure, which is wrong. No, it should be on the basis of justice, dharma, and
Truth.
coexistence. Truth, yes.
बढ़िया.
That has been said in this particular paragraph.
Right, right. So we can argue again that if we are looking towards orderliness, then actually at this point we can see with this line that commercial methods, however, have always, it's saying the word however means that it is always having this initiative of profit, and because of that a lot of resources are wasted or are duplicated because of the fact that we are just focusing on profit. And talking about orderliness, I was just thinking today how much of multiplication or duplication of even simple things like tools are there in every household because of the discommunication or the lack of oneness with the neighbor, or if you can put it so vaguely, that we are just having our own set of screwdrivers, our own set of tools, our own set of even somewhat heavy equipment, be it the car even. So we are not sharing these things, and in the process what is happening is that everybody wants to have their own, because obviously work has to be done, and for that everything is duplicated and unnecessarily kept in the houses and not used. And more often than not, when these things are not used, that means they are not maintained, and when they are not maintained, they just keep on degrading and decomposing and ultimately just disintegrate. things like iron or any tools like that, they need maintenance, they need oiling, they need greasing. All these drills and machines that we have, they are just lying in the house sometimes idle, and they are just not being used. So yeah, I was just thinking of this today only, that yes, it is available commercially, all these things. The सुविधा है वो जो मिल गई सबको, बट सुविधा क्योंकि सब सब लोग अलग अलग है, सबके पास एकता नहीं है. Coexistence is not the matter or the news of the day. So what happens is multiplication, duplication of things are there, and business is always booming in those kind of scenarios.
It is said that in most of the business it is the exploitation. है ना?
Yeah.
That is why it is wrong. It has the mindset of earning more and more money. Every business they have this mindset.
Right.
So that is wrong.
Right.
Earning is not wrong. The problem is it should not be profit based.
Right.
It should be based on justice, dharma and truth.
Right.
If it is based on that, then it's okay. Otherwise, profit is always that we are considering how to maximize things and how to exploit the other people.
Right, right, and exploiting in a, not in the sense that they want to take the money right now from you, but they will plan something like they. It's called a planned redundancy. Like even the iPhones, if you recall a place when it happened, that when the new iPhone is being released, the old iPhones get an update, and it is argued that when that update comes, it slows down the computer or the phone, and in the process you will feel like you want to buy a new phone then at that point. So it is called planned redundancy, and it is sometimes argued that they do it for good, for good reasons, because when old phones get uh, like basically the chemical structure of the battery is such that it loses its efficiency, so they deliberately put the code inside it in the updates that your phone starts to function at a lower speed. But they argue it, the Apple guys argue it that they do it just because to keep the phone working for a longer time. So that is their this thing. But anyways, yeah, we can argue it both ways, because when you reduce the speed from what you are used to, you will want to buy a new phone, and that is again another catch for the profit again ultimately. So two things happen here. I just want to clarify. First is planned redundancy, when it is deliberately made of low quality substandard stuff that it disintegrates over time. We talked about this with the cars that they used to make, the Ambassador and all these cars that were there in the past. They actually have a very old body, but still it's still not rusting. But the cars of today, we will see maybe the metal is thinner or whatever the case may be. It could be simple.
Very,
The environment could be the factor also. The pollution of the air is could be the factor also, that the pollution is creating the sulfuric acid. That could be the reason also. Who knows? But the point is,
extremely poor.
yeah,
Yeah, extremely poor quality material is being used.
right.
I must tell you that I had a old Maruti Swift vehicle, and a person came to from the car 24 came to investigate or have the to find the worth of the. He said it is so good, it is so, you should not sell it. If you really want to sell it to me. And that is the story of it. 13-year or 14-year-old vehicle, and now you come to the new vehicle. I purchased last year one vehicle, and the Exide battery has gone faulty within 6 to 7 months.
Right.
When I went to the dealer,
Right.
they simply sent me to the Exide dealer, who said the company wants to give only small amount of money. They are not bothered about the quality. And similarly the other material of the car. So this is a very poor state in which the things are being manufactured these days. To reduce the cost, they also reduce the quality, and they are adding more and more features only.
Right. Right. Yeah.
This is the state of affairs which you were mentioning.
Yeah, yeah. So again, the same thing comes to the point that the earth only is being exploited, and we can see that in business also, that I think is the one of the biggest uh, uh, clarification that we need to do with this thing, is that the war we are doing with earth, we have these physical wars where there is some explosions and some sort of things, but this war of every day of mining, of creating products, and then products making it sell at a lesser value, and then maybe even giving subscriptions so that you can buy that product, maybe giving it for at a lesser interest rate so you can buy it today. That is another craze, that there was never the credit card in India, but now it is so appealing to the youth, and they have made it so that everybody has a credit card. You don't have to pay now. You can take something, you can enjoy it, and then you can pay in small chunks, and the banks also keep on earning from that process also. So it is just all completely not bothered about the environment, but rather just messing up the resources, because that is what they have learned in their schooling age, that the earth has this resource, and that resource can be there for the business purpose, the fulfilling the business goals basically. Yeah.
This reminds us about the movie Buy Now.
By now, yes.
Buy Now.
Everything is so much at a
Anyway,
very lesser rate. Go Black Friday, I don't know, White Friday, whatever. Buy
yes,
at a
yes.
discount, and then they actually shipped the things which are were taking up the space in the warehouse to some random houses somewhere, in out country, and they took the advantage of the transport, and they were showing that people in the remote areas receiving unknowing things, stationary items and all whatnot, so that they could get the space emptied out, from the warehouses. That was the most funny and ridiculous way of looking at it, but it also makes sense that because all these things need space, they need to create that space, and they just ship these things out to anyone. So yeah, it is the lack of oneness, and it is the lack of responsibility towards the self. I think it is the whole thing is engineered in such a very uh, unique and very, how can I put it, a very ingenious way of like marketing strategies are there. They are pushing the figures up. The input cost material is also reduced so that they can make the profit. So ultimately, everything is just being pushed to make the man suffer. And even when he buys something, there will be always be something better than that. There will not be something which is a standard item. And like for example, transportation, you will buy something, you will feel that there is a person who is having a better vehicle, a better model, a better appealing model. So these things in there is in all branches of consumption, be it in fashion, be it in clothing, be it in this food industry, even be it in this consumption of products also. So utility, I think it's based on everybody's particular perception, and the more we get in line with our utilities, what we need, what is useful for us, how much it will impact the environment also. So it is an individual act. I think it cannot be achieved any other way. And again, this is again uniquely and very beautifully solved by darshan, because it works on individuals and individual mindset. Then you become resolved, and then when you are resolved, then your family structure is developed, and it gets into resolution and in justice, and then it keeps on going ahead from there on. But yeah. Yeah, so I can read ahead. The identification of our common and special aspirations is derived from the Jeevan's analysis activity. Once these are identified, we engage in their production. Okay, so these lines are very interesting. Uh, it is identification of common and special aspirations derived from the Jeevan's analysis activity. What is the Jeevan's analysis activity? Then once these are identified, we engage in their production. So it is the processing happens first, then the production happens ahead. So this is again also laid down very clearly, leading to the realization of prosperity. So again, when we do this, when we are aligned with orderliness, then also we will feel that we are contributing towards our fourth order, which is human order, and that we are part of the orderliness, which is with the three other orders. And then also from that, we are also making sure that we are also producing more, a little bit more than what we are consuming. So there is the prosperity also there. As prosperity
But the
dawns, yes, please.
yes, but yeah, prosperity here is understood in the wrong notion. It is understood that by producing more and more things
हाँ.
which may add to my comfort, that will be prosperity, which is wrong.
Right, right. So currently, what prosperity? The word it means itself is maybe you are a little bit happy and you are also producing, but it doesn't it doesn't take into account the fact that orderliness has to be the general rule of thumb, because right now the general rule of thumb is to be better than the other, better than the neighbor, better than uh, maybe even reach the heights of Bill Gates. So that is, one could say that Bill Gates is prosperous, but we can see that what he has achieved is what with a lot of monopolization and all these kind of things. And ultimately, when it comes down to it, it is just about creating more and more wealth without any sort of orderliness in mind. So here we are clarifying to the audience that prosperity means a basic, like the central point rather, is that we are focusing on the balance or the orderliness of all the four orders, including the humans. The humans also should not be suffering in the sense that there are some extremists, for example, even in today's day and age, that they will start living on top of trees, because they want to save the trees. So they will go to that extent. There are some people who will stop in the tracks of the roads so that we stop burning the oil and gasoline cars. So we have that kind of group also. So that is not going to solve anything. I think prosperity is to understand all the three orders and the human order also, and then going about your business by understanding Jeevan's, as it says here, Jeevan's analysis activity, and then we are going about to do the production of anything that we need to consume. So it is all again in a line with the orderliness, and then also with justice with other humans. Badhiya. As prosperity dawns, we begin to live in a state of orderliness. Yes, so this line is also again just echoing what we just said. When the prosperity comes, we begin and we live in a state of orderliness. Hence, it is imperative to cultivate self reliance in our students and thereafter develop their tendency for evidence in the family and living in universal orderliness. Okay, so this I think sentence means that once we are realized with prosperity, then we are also imparting this to our students. Basically, we are sort of creating a tradition of it, and then after develop their tendency for evidence in the family. So again, all talking about tradition, and that we have to keep on doing it for the universal orderliness, and ultimately it does become universal, because then all families are doing it,
As we were talking last time, the student must learn certain skills. Like Didi was mentioning about the 22 skills.
Right.
So the students must learn the skills and then become self-reliant. And after becoming self-reliant, they must develop the tendency to evidence in the family and in the universal orderliness. So that the skills should be used to to achieve the prosperity and right understanding, and which is useful for both the family and it is helpful in the universal orderliness. For example, a student can start producing those things which are really required and which are not harmful to any of the other three forms of the nature.
राइट, राइट, बहुत बढ़िया. सो ये जो अभी वो चल रहा है ना अभियान, फर्स्ट was स्वस्थ भारत अभियान, and then now there is this अभियान of no self what is this called, startups. There is a thing called startups, and the government is also promoting it very intensely, I think. So
Make in India.
Make in India also is there. So I think if these government people only they get to I mean they get to know about these things, a lot of clarity can happen for the young generation also, because yeah. So I might dare to say that they are also incorporating this part of dispersing this knowledge to the kids. But imagine how easy it would be if all students were skilled, and these all students were, as it says here, cultivating self reliance wherever they are. They don't have to go and travel to other countries, or they don't have to go and start a business in the center of a city. They're just cultivating the self reliance where they are. I mean, it doesn't mean that you have to go to a particular place to make the things happen. It's a global village. I mean, we are connected with the internet, and I mean, earth is similar, as Babaji said. Earth is similar everywhere. It's not that some places are more, how do we say it, resourceful than the others. The soil or the earth matter basically is applicable to every place and every land. In fact, I would argue that the city would actually have lesser quality of health when we talk about air and water than compared to the villages of India. I mean, clearly we are also in a day or age where people from outside, they come to India and they label India as polluted, or the cities that are polluted. So it means that whatever understanding we have of richness or orderliness, which incorporates the cities to be the right place, is actually the wrong place for that matter. Because we are saying that we should go to the high urban cities, and high rise buildings are there to cater for the needs of the business and all those things. But when we see it in retrospect, we are seeing that they are actually less healthy. They are more. I mean, how many hours are spent on just traveling in traffic? I mean, hours and hours every day, just lost in front of your eyes, because there are trails and trails of long traffic. You know. I was listening to this podcast by Elon Musk. He said that we have buildings that are three dimensional because they have the length, breadth, and height. But then roads are two dimensional because they just have the length and breadth. They don't have the height. Basically, you cannot travel on the second lane or the third lane above you. You are just traveling on the ground floor, literally. So in that process, we will always have the issue of traffic. So that is, we should understand that at human beings, as that if we travel to cities, we will always have to deal with traffic, and that's something very serious. And yeah, no matter what we do, we will have to have this issue. And I think somewhat we get naive with our simple mind, that we think that okay, if we travel to a big city, it will be like a dream come true and all these things. uh, yes, so maybe for the younger audience here, or even in the future, let's have a thought of how to think in the sense of reality. Because we cannot say a no to somebody who is living in the city already, and then we can also not say a no to our ambition. So we have to find a right way of looking at it, and looking at things of what is basically more important to us. Is it our time is important, or is it that our status is important, that we are working in a very major city like Hyderabad, Mumbai, and all these fancy cities, Pune, and all these cities we are saying. But then at the end of the day, they are detriment to our health. Literally, Delhi is not breathable. Air is there. So how do you justify that? How do we justify these kind of questions? And the villager on the outskirts is basically more healthy, more fulfilled with nutrients, basically, because he's having the food that is in the local market, which is basically made of matter, literally, or items of vegetables and fruits, which is of healthy nature. So yeah, but yeah.
Yeah, I can distinguish it very clearly because I live in Delhi, and my friend Sudarshan also, we live in Delhi, and we can see a lot of pollution. But when I go to Dehradun, to my village, it's very, very healthy. Everything is so good. So we can definitely distinguish as far as pollution is concerned, as far as traffic is concerned, there is a major difference. You are absolutely right that if skilled people are available there, and some basic facilities are there, then I think people will stop coming to cities,
Right.
and there should be sufficient opportunities for the employment also.
Right, right. Yeah, I think a lot of the thing is conspiracy also, but let's not go into that, because once we start with one conspiracy, that why are people coming to the cities in the first place, then we will also lose track of the right things to do. But I'm just saying it roughly. in today's day and age when everything is so clear in black and white that cities are a little bit polluted, more polluted rather than the outskirts, we should be thinking in a way of like, especially if we are in line with darshan, we should keep on constantly thinking of ways where we are in line with orderliness, and in that means we should be where our health is, where maybe people are there which can give more more, how do we say it, more oneness with the self, that we are like a family and living together in a family in the system, and that also the health factor also is maintained in that kind of structure, because uh, I believe in the cities most people who are there in the cities are actually disconnected with the neighbors even to that extent, because if we are in the city we are not rather, I was just listening today in the morning that we have this watchman, every society has a watchman, and the watchman is there because the neighbor or the people who are there are not sort of they are basically fearful of what and who will come inside their house or who will come inside the society. So there is always this issue of when there are so many watchmen now that everybody has to go through a system writing down who has come in, who has left, basically creating a sort of strong vault where you feel safe. But when you go to the villages, there is no such thing. There is a sort of a self reliance and self discipline. And more people are actually open to any sort of irritation or irregularity that might happen. For example, if you say that there is some dispute, then the villagers would actually be more inclined to help each other. Then if something, there is a dispute in a city, you will obviously see that call the police, let the police come and solve it, and there is no sort of humaneness which is seen in cities. That's what I see sometimes, and that is not a good indication of how do you put it, human intellect, and rather a poor representation of the same. So I think it's very uh, crucial how we see at these things. Whenever we get with orderliness, we should see ourselves combining with other humans, resolving with them as soon as possible without losing time, and not even having to start the dispute in the first place. So everything is so smoothly and interwoven, like just look at the bees. Sometimes I'm looking at the bees, how they are bringing the nectar, and everything is so busy. Even there is a expression in English called as busy as a bee. So there's nothing more busier than a bee, yet we are seeing that there is so much harmony in a beehive, so much orderliness. The bees are coming in, they're leaving, they're bringing in the nectar, the hive is being built, the pollens are being collected from the flower, and the flowers are being pollinated. So much orderliness is happening just by looking at the bees. So, I mean, we should even somehow learn from the bees only in that some
We,
order.
we often say that we are the most evolved,
Ah.
but many times we see the animals behave better than us.
Yeah, I mean, look at the way they. I mean, this is another topic altogether, but they use the angle of the sun, and then they will dance in that particular way, and then all the bees will know that there is a flower orchid at that particular GPS location from the hive. So this is just amazing. I mean, this is so mathematically so interesting, like how they do it, they communicate, and all these things is happening. It's amazing. Like, yeah, so humans really need to be at least in gratitude of what they are surrounded by, if not anything else. We should be really grateful of what gifts we have surrounding us. Yes. So, hence, it is imperative to cultivate self reliance in our students, and thereafter develop the tendency for evidence in the family. Okay, we have read this. In universal orderliness, it is good fortune of humans to evidence at these three levels. It is inherent need in humans, is the one and only basis to actualize this good fortune. When this need gets identified, then it would be natural for humans to evidence themselves after diligently studying this proposal. So the three, it's saying here that it is hereditary in need humans uh, to see it actualize, and in all these three levels. So what these three levels means is, I believe in the evidencing in the family. Sorry, tendency for the self, and then the family, and then the universal orderliness. So these three places, the Jeevan wants to see it materialize, basically the self, the family, and the universal orderliness. So basically, in the universal acceptance of this orderliness also. So until and unless these three places are not evidenced with orderliness, then the humans will also not feel uh, the good fortune, or basically the human will keep on wanting to achieve it. They will maybe go into these places where there is this orderliness and want to try to fix that. Maybe that is what it's trying to say. Because if you are not resolved in these three levels, then you will keep on trying and wanting to see it evidence. When this need gets identified, then it would be natural for humans to evidence themselves after diligently studying this proposal. So, yes, I think this means that we will keep on studying it until it's identified in these three levels. When this need gets identified, जब जरूरत समझ में आएगी, then it would be natural for humans to evidence themselves after diligently studying this proposal. So far, we have tried to understand what is understanding, who understands, what is the content of understanding. The entire entity that understands is Jeevan. So we are talking about the Jeevan, not the body, which understands. And the progressiveness of these understandings also stay with the Jeevan. So it's like when you are sort of having the animalistic mindset of greed and cunningness and nature of taking things, when you have advanced from that, then maybe let's say in your next life you will not be having this sort of traits. You will be maybe more caring, more sensitive. Sometimes you will see this naturally also, that there are some people, even though two people may be brothers, but one of them is showing signs of letting go, of communicating better, of not relying on material things so much. We can see that all the time with any family. We can see that these two kind of brothers are there, even though they have been almost brought up with the same environment. So this is clearly showing that the Jeevan had different, those two Jeevans had different levels of uh, uh, clarity, or how do we say it, the different levels of evolution, so that now they are actually evidencing that
भैया,
same.
here I would clear to my friend Sudarshan that the term Jeevan is coming again and again. The human is a part, is a combination of two things. One is the physical body and the second is the sentient part, चैतन्य part. उस चैतन्य को ही हम जीवन बोल रहे हैं. So that is why this term is coming again and again. तो चैतन्य पक्ष जो है हमारा, उसको हम जीवन बोल रहे हैं. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and maybe we can just guide him afterwards that what is the Jivan composed of, and what levels that we are thinking of at right now at this point of where most of the Jivan is working from the profit, what is healthy and what is profitable. Sorry, Priya, what is likable, profitable, and healthy. We are just thinking in these three lines. Whereas there is a higher way of thinking, which is of justice, dharma, which is innate nature, and truth. Basically, these are the three ways of ultimately thinking that the resolved Jivan will think, if that is the right way to put it. है ना भाई?
हाँ, तो वो कंटेंट ऑफ इमेजिनेशन की जब हम बात करते हैं ना, तो हम दो तरह से सोचते हैं. ज्यादातर लोग प्रिय हित लाभ की दृष्टि से सोचते हैं कि मेरा फायदा किसमें है, मेरा स्वार्थ किसमें है. और दूसरी दृष्टि होती है जिसमें मानवीयता की दृष्टि होती है, यानी कि न्याय की दृष्टि होती है, व्यवस्था की दृष्टि होती है और सत्य की दृष्टि होती है. उसमें जीना जो है वो इम्पोर्टेंट है. तो ज्यादातर लोग फिजिकल लेवल पे स्वयं को फिजिकल बॉडी मानते हुए सोचते हैं, जबकि जो चैतन्य पक्ष है वो डिफरेंट है, वो टोटली डिफरेंट है. और उसके आधार पर जैसे ही जीना शुरू करते हैं तो हमारे जीवन में ऑर्डरलीनेस और हार्मनी आती है. तो दिस इज इम्पोर्टेंट. यस,
Yes.
I just put these things with for my
Yeah,
friend
yeah.
Sudarshan.
I also thought so. That's why I said that the Jeevan is a combination of physical body and this.
Is very intelligent and will catch very soon. I know. Within 2-3 days he will be synchronized.
But yeah, but yeah, yes. And anybody can unmute and ask the questions. I believe there is no restriction in the software, so you can just stop me at any time. You know, we are just moving ahead, assuming that everything is going smoothly. But you can also pause and say your point of view, or you can ask a question anytime. There is no such sort of hard and fast rules here. And indeed, we actually want the interruptions because that will also create some sort of clarification in all the viewers in that when you ask a question or when you give a suggestion.
Or
Yes.
if anyone is not in a position to speak, he can write the question in the chat box. है ना? So we will read, and Bhaiya and any of us can reply.
Yeah.
Here we all are learners.
Right.
ना? None of us is any trained person. We all are learner, and we are trying to understand this darshan.
Right. But yeah, you will guide me if somebody writes a chat because to me, I cannot see the chat box. I am just seeing the screen, sharing the screen, so I cannot see the chat box.
ठीक है, ठीक
ठीक.
है. Sudarshan has written because he is not in a position to speak. No issue. He can write down if he has any question.
Okay.
Then we
बढ़िया.
will be discussing. Yes,
Right.
yes, bhaiya.
Okay, sure. So,
So we can move forward. Should I read, bhaiya?
you can help me out also.
Okay.
Right.
The content of understanding is existence, Jeevan, and humane conduct only. So these three are very important. They are the now who needs to understand it, which entity needs to understand. This understanding is the Jeevan who needs to understand. What it needs to understand? It needs to understand existence, जीवन एंड ह्यूमन कंडक्ट. जीवन को समझना है और एग्जिस्टेंस को समझना है और मानवीयतापूर्ण आचरण को समझना है. इन द जर्नी ऑफ comprehending existence, we need to understand development as well as physiochemical composition and decomposition processes. तो जब हम डेवलपमेंट को समझने जाते हैं तो वी नीड टू अंडरस्टैंड द फिजिको केमिकल कंपोजिशन, डिकम्पोजिशन, कैसे चीजें बन रही हैं या टूट रही हैं, या जैसे एक पौधा बनता है बाद में सूख जाता है तो दोबारा से जड़ बन जाता है. तो ये कंपोजिशन डिकम्पोजिशन एग्जिस्टेंस में कैसे हो रहा है, तो ये जब हम एग्जिस्टेंस को समझने जाते हैं तो ये चीजें समझ में आती हैं. These processes are inherent in existence, manifesting. ये थोड़ा ऊपर करना इसको थोड़ा. These processes are inherent in existence, manifesting as material order and biological. तो जिसकी हमने बात की कि बनना बिगड़ना जिन चीजों में आ रहा है, ये दो चीजें हो रही हैं. जैसे कि एक तो मटेरियल ऑर्डर है और दूसरा बायोलॉजिकल ऑर्डर है. तो ये एक जो मटेरियल ऑर्डर और बायोलॉजिकल ऑर्डर, इनमें बनना बिगड़ना चलता रहता है ड्यू टू फिजिको केमिकल रिएक्शन. These undergo continuous transformation from one state to another state. तो एक स्टेट से दूसरे स्टेट की ओर बदलाव होता रहता है. For instance, trees and plants naturally wither over time, transforming into soil. A phenomena known as transformability, which characterizes the perpetual flux of physico-chemical realm. तो ये खूबसूरती है फिजिको केमिकल रिएक्शंस की कि कितनी नई नई चीजें बनती रहती हैं और बिगड़ती रहती हैं, है ना. तो हम लोग एग्जिस्टेंस को भी समझने जाते हैं तो जो आइडियलिज्म में ये कहा जाता है कि किसी ने बनाई है चीजें, जबकि यहाँ पे हम ये प्रपोजल रख रहे हैं कि सभी चीजें फिजिको केमिकल रिएक्शन से बनी है ना, और बाद में जीवन भी उन्हीं रिएक्शंस के पार्ट से बना है. तो यहाँ पे कोई बनाने वाला नहीं है. ये एक मेजर डिफरेंस है ना. आइडियलिज्म में तो हम ये सोचते हैं ना कि सब कुछ बनाया है, उस ईश्वर ने सब कुछ बनाया है. यहाँ पे एक डिफरेंट प्रपोजल आ रहा है कि चीजें फिजिको केमिकल रिएक्शन से बन रही हैं ना, और उसके बाद फिर एक नई क्रिया की भी हम बात करेंगे जिसको जीवन क्रिया बोलते हैं, जो कि जीवन, जहाँ यहाँ पे जीवन वाली बात आएगी तो वो कैसे उसका भी एक गठनपूर्ण परमाणु की बात है, जो कि एक नया प्रपोजल है यहाँ पे ना. तो अपने आप में बहुत वंडरफुल प्रपोजल है.
Right.
ठीक है, अगर मैं कहीं गलत हूँ तो
हाँ.
कोई भी इसको ठीक कर सकता है। नीलम दीदी, श्रेयांशी दीदी,
Yeah.
शिवांगी बिटिया, ये सब अ, श्रेयांशी भी बिटिया और शिवांगी बिटिया। तो आप बेटा कहीं पे भी लगे किसी को कि हम इसको ऐड कर सकते हैं, तो हम सब एक दूसरे के लिए यहाँ बैठे हैं। ठीक है?
बढ़िया.
A phenomena, no, similarly, the formation and eventual demise of animal and human bodies follow a cyclical pattern. तो ह्यूमन बॉडी और एनिमल के डिमाइस होने पर भी ये साइक्लिक पैटर्न है ना। जैसे ह्यूमन बॉडी का भी क्या होगा, वो जड़ पदार्थ ही बन जाएगी, पानी बन जाएगी, इस तरह की चीजें बन जाएंगी।
Right.
Bodies are conceived and take shape in the womb only to return to the elements upon death, contributing to the cycle of soil, air and water. देखो वही बात आ गई कि
Right.
डेथ होने के बाद क्या होगा, हमारी बॉडी का जो जो इनसेंटिएंट पार्ट है, फिजिकल बॉडी है, वो सारा किस में मिल जाएगा, वो सॉइल में मिल जाएगा, एयर में और वाटर में मिल जाएगा। तो ये हमारी बॉडी के साथ होगा, जीवन के साथ नहीं होगा। ये खूबसूरती यहाँ पे बताई गई है
Yeah.
कि जीवन तो फिर कहीं ना कहीं किसी और बॉडी में एंटर करेगा।
Yeah. I just want to
ठीक है।
add. Huh. I just want to add one more thing. Uh, most of the idealism it has focused on almost this the saying that the body is part of as in there is no Jeevan as such. Even the scientific community also is still having some hard time. But of course, in science there has to be some sort of proof, and that's where the problem is appearing because there is no instrumentation which can detect the Jeevan, and the Jeevan is an integral part of the human body. There is something, as they say, there is something apart from the human body, but they are not able to put their finger on it because there is literally no instrument that is more sensitive enough that is can identify the Jeevan. So, having said that, the Babaji has actually realized and seen all these things. He has seen the omnipotent energy in the sense that he is seeing everything is inside that omnipotent energy and it is powered by that energy. And he has also seen the atoms and at how its particles are moving with this energy, and he has also seen the Jeevan. So, if I can just
Yeah,
yes.
one difference is it is not said here that the things are powered by the omnipresence. Rather, it is that everything get power from the omnipresent. ना हर चीज व्यापक से वो एनर्जी ले रही है,
उर्जित
वो
है.
दे रहा है नहीं।
हाँ, हाँ.
ये शब्द कहीं भी यूज किया,
उससे
देने
उर्जित
में
है.
भी तो फिर वो
हम्म.
हाँ उससे ऊर्जित है।
ओके.
देने, अगर हम देने की बात करते हैं तो फिर वो बात आ जाएगी कि ये तो क्रिया शून्य नहीं हुआ। यहाँ पे तो हमने क्या कहा, इसको
राइट
क्रिया शून्य कहा ना।
राइट राइट
तो
राइट.
ये डिफरेंस है, ये डिफरेंस है। एक एक शब्द की देखो कितनी वैल्यू है, अगर हम जरा सा भी इधर से उधर होते हैं तो सब मीनिंग चेंज हो जाता है।
हाँ, नहीं नहीं सही बात है. अब इट्स वेरी imperative that we also stay with that realization also of clarity. So yes, I just want to bring this point again, where Babaji was saying that we just need to understand the three things. Uh, the content of understanding is existence, Jeevan, and humane conduct only. So, if we look at these three words, existence is basically what the physicochemical world is and is composed of atoms and how they integrate and disintegrate. By integrating, I will just give you an example. We all know that H2O is there, it makes water, and how the hydrogen is an explosive gas and oxygen is a flammable gas. Where both they combine, they create the water, which is a product which actually quenches the thirst. Something quite literally opposite. So it means that all the two elements, the hydrogen and the oxygen, have renounced their innate nature and created or adopted a new nature, which is that of quenching the thirst. Similarly, I'll give you another example of how sodium, another explosive metal, and chlorine, a very poisonous gas, when both of them combine, they both renounce their innate nature, and they become table salt. So you can see how sodium chloride, which is sodium and basically chlorine, when they combine, they are combining to create stable salt, which everybody who is literally making even good food will say that उसमें नमक कमी है या नमक कम हो गया आज. Even if you make the best dishes, it is not complete without table salt. So again we can see how the two elements which are completely of negative or poisonous, chlorine gas is poisonous basically. So how those two things when they combine, they form the most like it is in harmony with orderliness. That's what I'm trying to say. Basically, when we talk of this, or when we are talking about how orderliness is happening, we can see and we can actually learn from this how, if every human being on this planet was in orderliness, then how we can combine with each other, within each other's natures, how we can be contributing towards with each other's growth, how we can be renouncing our bad parts and actually adopting our or rather promoting our good parts with the other one, or with the other society, or with the whole of humanity. So that's what I'm trying to say here, that even with elements this is the case. So obviously with humans this will be the case also, because we are all part of this physico-chemical world, and in that process we just have to understand orderliness, and that we can do, or we are doing it right now. And then we are also have to understand the humane conduct. So this is the thing that and of course so human conduct is means justice. It means we have tried it in so many other ways, like how to be humane, but somehow or the other we would not find a steady uh, outflow of humane conduct. Somewhere down the line we always get to go back to our innate nature of maybe fighting or flighting, just like the reptilian mind. And that basis was not there. The all things, they need a grounding, and so the grounding is knowledge basically. So the knowledge was not there, and that is why all the problems again end up into a fight, or end up into a conflict, or some things like the other. And but once we realize that we are part of orderliness, or we are part of the order, we are part of existence, and the existence is planned, or rather the existence is there to exist for thousands of and millions of years. And in that process the atoms are there, connecting and disintegrating and forming and deforming again. And what's the word they used here, uh, return to the elements upon death, right? So the similarly the formation and eventual demise, right? So the word demise is there, of animal and human bodies follow a cyclical pattern. So when we look,
Formation and deformation,
ha,
demise of deformation.
ha.
Yes.
So we look at this in the nature, but until now, even in for my own personal understanding, I was looking at these things, and I was understanding it as an outcome of everything will be destroyed. The world will be destroyed one day, just like this. There is creation, there is sustenance, and there is destruction. But we look at it with a little bit more clarity. There is actually cyclicity in it. In that, even if when the planet gets disintegrated, hopefully it will take a lot of millions and billions of years, but then it will only give birth to, or to give readiness. All the elements will just disintegrate to give way to other planets to form in the future. So there is no such thing as demise as such, but a cyclic nature. So that we have to keep in mind, that as long as we are alive and we are as a part of a human body, we should keep this cyclicity in mind when it comes to nature and material matter and all these things, because everything is part of matter, and it is intrinsically interwoven with the other three orders, and humans are also dependent on that. So if we don't understand this cyclicity, if we don't understand this part of existence, then we will always regard everything else as destructible, destruction. Shiva will come one day and destroy the world, and all these kind of things. So there is another heaven. We are just here as a part time. The school. We are come to a school. Then this. There is another place we will go after death. So I'm talking about idealism and the material world also. They are saying that the body disintegrates, and we just go into nothingness. So all these things have to be
We,
clarified.
we can stop it here because the same link is to be used by
हाँ, okay,
another
okay,
group
okay.
now.
Right,
Yes,
right.
yes.
बढ़िया, ठीक है.
Okay.
तो I think it was a nice session today. Sorry for the inconvenience. We unfortunately had the clash with the Zoom meeting link. but we'll try to sort it out by tomorrow. Yeah, so we'll hook up tomorrow again, same time.